Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. In this episode, we're headed off to the mighty Georges River, my local waterway, to review the 2025 New South Wales Tournament Series, and this one was held on the 9th of March in 2025. Just a little one-day event with some great results. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to roll the intros and tell you what's been going on and tell you all about it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right. So it's actually been a little while since I've sat down and recorded an intro and outro. I had the week up at Swains and obviously had to be prepared so the shows continued to roll out. But yeah, so I feel a little bit rusty. Anyway, yeah, so Swains Reef, what an experience. It was fantastic up there. We had a good time on the Big Cat Reality with ET and a bunch of people. Personally, I didn't smash it in terms of fish, but it was definitely a great experience. And like I said, still in recovery. I was a little bit ill for a couple of days, which was a bit sad in a lot of respects. But yeah, I saw some big wahoo and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, getting back to the task at hand, we are, as I'm recording this, I'm a couple of days out from my own round on the Georges with the Hobie. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully I can get into a bunch of bream. I haven't been on the waterway for a couple of weeks. Yeah, so hopefully I can work it out and put a decent result together. Anyway, what I might do is I'll run through all the details of this one. It was just a one-day event, so it could be quite quick. And we'll get into the angler interviews. The 9th of March. So this one we had a major bite period at 7:46 through to 10:16 a.m. High tide was at 5:28 a.m. at 1.47 meters, running down to a low tide at 12:32 at 0.28. All right, here we go. Okay, so coming in a third place, we have Team Finesse Angler. They dropped their 5 fish for 3.89, which included the Big Bream for the competition of 1.13. And with me on the line, I have Abs Machlaoui. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thank you, Andrew. It's been a long time between drinks.
Yes, but you've been on before. And how good is that?
Yeah, fourth time now.
Yeah, that's it. What I was going to say, we'll do this straight away is, mate, you've got an up-and-coming YouTube channel. I think it's called The Finesse Angler. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, my YouTube channel is something that I really have been taking quite seriously lately. It's something I've been putting a lot of work and effort into, and it's my pride and joy, mate. I like to show everyone what I do and how I do it. And it's not only for the beginner, but also some entertainment and some things to take home for also people who do know what they're doing.
Yeah, mate, it's quite good. And look, through your journey through this in the tournament scenes, I've seen you come through the kayaks and have a bit of, I guess, back issue there and move away from that a little bit. And then good to see you getting good results in the boats.
Yeah, correct. I was really enjoying the kayak scene, and getting away from the kayak scene for 6 months with a back injury was pretty debilitating for myself. So I thought to myself, what better way to ease myself back into it than to jump in the boat tournament scene. And I've been enjoying it. That was my first tournament on the boats over the weekend, and it was great.
Right. Okay. And tell us, who's your partner?
Rashid.
Okay, cool. You said it's his boat.
Yeah, it's his boat. We kind of met through fishing, and we realized that we fished very well together, and we said we'll jump into both the New South Wales Tournament Series and the East Coast Bream Series we'll be doing this year as well.
Oh, very good. Very good. All right, let's get into this competition. So the Georges River, did you get out and have a pre-fish? Did you get out and have a look around?
Yeah, we got out a couple of weeks back and we had a bit of a pre-fish, and it didn't go exactly to plan. The fish were not on the bite and the water clarity wasn't the best either. So we really struggled throughout the whole day. And yeah, pretty much what we did on the pre-fish is exactly what we did come comp day. But we did a couple of things slightly different, and yeah, it worked out in our favour.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of mixing it up, what did you change up?
We fished a couple of pontoons. We didn't fish any pontoons at all during our pre-fish. And yeah, we ended up fishing pontoons during comp day, and we were successful doing so.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, let's roll around to comp day. So Sunday the 9th, Tell us how your day went.
Well, very interesting day, Andrew. It didn't start off in our favour whatsoever. We started off the day with some boat troubles. So we got down to the boat ramp, tried to start the boat, and the boat wouldn't start. A bit of a dead battery there. So luckily, Rashid had a battery starter with him and we got it started. Hopefully, everything went well from there until the rain started bucketing down, which was about 2 minutes after we got the boat started.
Oh,
yeah.
I must have been asleep during that because I missed that.
Not everyone copped it. I think it just depended on where you launched the boat. But yeah, we got a fair bit of rain and luckily we both had rain jackets. But for the past couple of weeks, I've developed something called Raynaud's. I don't know if you've heard of Raynaud's. What Raynaud's is it's a condition where if your body feels any sort of cold, the blood tends to not circulate as well in those areas and it starts to get numb and very itchy and swollen. And yeah, unfortunately, I've been suffering with that for the past couple of weeks, but hopefully we can get through that.
100%, mate. You can't do that. We've got to fish in the rain sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I need to start rugging up real well and wearing gloves and all the rest of it.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, hopefully you get to the bottom of that. Tell us, so you had a bit of boat troubles. You got rained on. What were you up to next, mate?
Well, yeah, we ended up going and meeting at the briefing site. So everything went well from when it started raining till we got to the briefing site. So everything was all well and I got to experience everything with the key tags and all the rest of it. You know, that was my first time. So that experience was pretty good on its own.
Yeah.
And we were boat number 14. So boat number 14, we waited around, listened to the briefing and all the rest of it, and we were ready to rock and roll. And I had a really good mindset from the beginning, even though we did go through what we did. I had a really good mindset and I really wanted to go out there and give it my best shot.
Okay. Tell us, where'd you head off to and how'd you go catching your first bag?
Well, the morning started off pretty slow for us, to be honest. Look, we went to a couple of pontoons and we were fishing there. We didn't get not one hit. The water looked phenomenal. The water looked awesome. The quality was really good. And I started off using a muss. And Rashid was throwing a crab. So I was mussing and he was crabbing. And we were trying to not use the same thing at the same time, just to have a bit of a variety out there for the fish.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get anything at the beginning. So I had a word with him and I said, look, we don't want to waste all our time doing something that's not going to work. So let's change up the plans. Let's do something different. And we'll come back to it a bit later if we feel like it and if we don't get our bag. So It's exactly what we did. We head upstream, we went and hit some edges. And on the way there, I was wearing my favorite hat and on a fast boat, not used to it. And all I see was my hat fly off my head. And I'm like, oh no, I brought that back with me from America. And it's like a part of me now. I don't want to lose it. And luckily it was floating. So we ended up going back and we found it.
Go back and got it.
We got it, yeah. And I was really happy about that. So that was another downfall for the day.
Yep. That's all right, mate. I had a hat blow off the other day in a boat. Same deal. I was ready for it, but still didn't get it. My favourite Daiwa hat. I went back and got it.
No.
So.
Oh, no. It hits you when you least expect.
Exactly. All right. So after the hat blew off, tell us what happened next.
After the hat blew off, we finally got to the spot that we wanted to fish. There was already someone fishing it. So we were sitting there deciding what we're going to do next. And yeah, the inevitable happened.
Yeah.
We were chatting and we were about to take off and we weren't really paying attention. And because the boat, when he takes off, the nose of the boat kind of lifts up when he takes off before it gets onto the plane, we ended up hitting a pole.
Oh no. What, a glass boat or an alley boat?
No, it's an aluminium boat. It's a stacer.
Oh no.
So we ended up hitting one of those markers and he damaged his electric motor, live scope, and the structure of the boat as well, which was very unfortunate.
Oh, that's terrible news.
Talk about a terrible start, mate. So our mindset at that stage, mind you, we're both fasting Ramadan, so no food, no water from sunrise to sunset. So our minds are already all over the place with no water and starting to get dehydrated from first thing in the morning.
Oh, no. And at this point, is there a fish in the well yet?
There was no fish in the well, I don't think. I think, there was no fish in the well.
No fish in the well. You've been rained on. You've had a reaction to the rain. You've crashed the boat. Hey, what a day. What a start.
Shocking start, mate. I've had shocking starts before, but this one just took it to another level.
Yeah. Oh, fortunately you weren't hurt. This is a good thing.
Oh, most definitely, and I just had a word with Rashid and we spoke to each other and we said, look, let's just keep our mindset up high. Let's get through this and we'll worry about the boat later on. So luckily the boat was still running. The electric was still working. We ended up tweaking the live scope a little bit to get it working as well. Not that we really rely on the live scope, but it is a benefit to have.
Yeah.
And I've only been on the boat with him a handful of times, so I don't really know exactly how the live scope works 100% anyway.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, tell us. There must be fish here somewhere.
So from there, not long after, we went and hit an edge and straight away I threw on the Flick 295 by Daiwa in my favourite colour. That's won me comps before, which is the red herring. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah, we have.
I'm very confident with that plastic. When it comes to soft plastics, in the summertime, Daiwa Baitjunkie red herring in the Flick 295 on a 1/20th Daiwa jig head is what does the damage for me a lot of the times when I throw on a plastic. So that's what I did. While Rashid was throwing out crabs, I was throwing out the soft plastic and I got one straight away, which was legal, but it wasn't anything to kind of brag about.
Sure. That's right. One in the world.
Exactly. We continued on. We continued fishing that same edge. We drifted down the edge and bang, I caught one that was half decent. We weren't really measuring or weighing any fish, but you pick up a fish and you look at the fish and you know that it's a decent one that'll probably stay in your bag. And it was a good fish. Probably, I'd say up around that 38 centimetre to the tip mark.
Nice. Yeah, nice. So solid fish. So 2 in the well.
2 in the well. And things were starting to look a bit better at that stage. And I would say it was around maybe 9:30 a.m. at that stage. We kicked off at 7 a.m., so 2.5 hours in.
Yeah, it's okay.
So slowly, the confidence started building.
Yep.
And we finished the edge that we were fishing. So we had to come up with another plan and we went and fished another edge and we just started smashing fish after fish after fish. And we ended up catching about 10 fish in a row.
Right.
And there wasn't anything special, Andrew. It was just your legal sized brim. And we were having fun. I was still flicking the plastics and he was cranking. I think he was using a Jackal crank, a black color with red eyes. I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so he was cranking the edge. I was still using the soft plastics. And yeah, we got a fair bit of fish and we thought to ourselves, it's time to upgrade. So he threw on his crab and I continued with the soft plastics and I'm pretty sure I ended up getting another half decent one. So it would have been probably our first upgrade.
Sure.
Then I'm pretty sure Rashid ended up getting a real good one.
Okay.
Which would have been another high 30s, which was a keeper for our tank.
Nice. And that was on the crab?
That was on the crab. Yeah, that was on the crab. Yeah, he ended up getting that one on the crab, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we continued on and we couldn't get any more upgrades from there. So we thought to ourselves, what are we going to do from there? Obviously, when you want to get some upgrades, quick smart, you either go to the crab or the muss. So that's what we did. He threw on the crab and I threw on the muss. And we started going from there. Now that we had our bag, we really wanted to hone in to some upgrades. And he went with the big crab. That's the largest size crab. And I went with the upgrader muss.
Okay, yeah.
And at this stage, I'm pretty sure we only had about 2 hours left until we had to go back in.
Yeah.
So we had to make a decision. It was either go back to the pontoons that we were fishing earlier or go to one of the bridges, which we ended up doing. We ended up going to the bridge. The current was absolutely raging. So you know how it is fishing bridges when the current's raging. It's a bit hard to get your lure into that strike zone.
Yeah.
But eventually we ended up finding a technique where we were throwing our lure at a certain point of the bridge and it was getting sucked directly underneath.
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot to mention, we did end up passing a couple of pontoons on the way to the bridge.
Yep.
And Rashid ended up getting one more decent brim on a upgraded crab, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right.
And I got absolutely roasted. So one fish that would have been probably our biggest in the bag ended up doing me on the pontoon. But
oh, no, unlucky.
Unlucky, it is what it is. Sometimes, you can't stop them all. And that was on the muss.
When you're throwing your muss at pontoons, are you on a light muss or a heavy muss?
No, I was with the upgrader muss.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually just go heavy, but because we wanted upgrades, we'll go on big baits.
Yeah,
big
okay.
lures, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So upgrader mast, the current was absolutely raging through these pontoons. So it was pontoons that had a lot of current that was running through them. And what we were doing is, as we were approaching the pontoons, we were drifting with the current.
Yeah.
So as we were approaching the pontoons, we were casting on a 45-degree angle. He was at the very front of the boat on the electric, and I was right behind him at a 45-degree angle. And we were casting in conjunction to each other. So we had a bit of a flow going on. And I got my mast right before the pontoon, I'd say about 2 meters, so I could let it waft underneath. And that's what happened. And by the time I got contact with my line, there was a fish on, and the fish just went straight under, pulled so much drag and got me. Couldn't even control it. Had no control.
No way. Oh, it's always exciting though.
Oh, definitely. You know how they are, the bigger fish, once they got that momentum and you haven't got any momentum, especially in heavy structure.
Yep. Hard to stop. Very, very hard to stop.
Hard to stop. However, we ended up going to the bridge. We didn't want to fish any more pontoons or anything like that. We wanted to go and secure a pylon on a certain bridge that we go and fish, and we have fished for the pre-fish. And we ended up getting the spot that we wanted to get.
Yeah.
Rashid still had the big crab on. I still had the big muss on. And like I was saying earlier, we found a technique where we were throwing it at a certain point of the bridge, obviously getting that line laid directly parallel with the bridge as close as we can.
Yep.
And it was wafting straight underneath, and we didn't get a fish for at least the first 45 minutes there. It was so slow.
Right.
And that's when the mind game started to come up. Should we go? Should we go and fish those pontoons? But Rashid was very adamant that we stay at the bridge because it's known that big fish do pass through the bridge. So we stayed. We stayed at the bridge, and we ended up getting our first upgrade, which was on the muss.
Nice.
And the first upgrade wasn't anything decent. I'm pretty sure we still had in our live well 2 fish that were in the 400-gram mark.
Sure.
And that upgrade was a 520-gram fish. So it wasn't a hefty upgrade, but you
Still
take
good.
what you get.
Hey,
You take what you get, especially when it comes time to the briefing and you see that you beat someone by 10 or 15 grams. You're like, okay, it did matter at the end of the day.
100%, mate. You've got to take every 5-10 grams you can get. So.
Most definitely. How many people you see in the kayak comps, especially where it's measured, where they get a small fish and they're like, you know what, I'm not even going to take a photo. And at the end of the day, they can't even complete their bag, or they just missed out on the top 10 position or something like that. So,
yeah. In my opinion is you take every upgrade you can get.
Yep, most definitely. So we kept plugging away, and it was getting closer towards the tide change, which was the low tide change.
Yep.
Yeah, surely, I think half an hour before we had to go back to the briefing, I got hit on the muss when my muss was all the way underneath the pylons.
Yeah.
In all those poles under there, and all I can feel was that line rubbing and a big fish taking that lure and trying to get its head right underneath amongst the barnacles. So as you do, mate, you try to steer the boat away and get its head out of there. And at first, I'll tell you, I didn't think it was a really big fish. I thought, yep, it's an upgrade, but I didn't really think it was going to be anything of real size.
Sure.
But Rashid, he's always on the ball. He jumped onto the electric. He pulled us out of there, and I was there fighting that fish, and it ended up coming up to be didn't measure it, but that was our kicker fish, the 1.13 gram kicker.
Nice. That's hectic.
On the upgrader mast, and put up a bit of a show. And as soon as that fish hit the deck, I was celebrating. I'm not one to really, be really excessive with my celebrations or anything. I'm a very mellow guy as is. So
Yeah.
I was celebrating, and I was like, oh man, maybe I'm celebrating a bit too much. I might cause a bit too much commotion and scare the fish. So I quieted down and regained my composure very quickly.
So you didn't do the whole Mike Iaconelli thing?
Almost.
Yeah, fair enough. I remember watching that video years ago going, what is going on? Oh, very good, mate. So you end up getting it on the upgrader muss. Did you find that the fish were high on the bridge or low on the bridge?
Low. They were taking them off the bottom. Every fish that we got on the bridge was off the bottom.
Yeah, and that was at the bottom end of the tide, so low, back end of the run out.
Yeah, back end of the run out. So I think it was probably about 5 to 10 minutes before the end of the tide.
Yeah.
So it was right on the tide change.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so that's one of the tricky things. So when they're feeding off or they're hanging around the bottom, you've got to get that lure to the bottom in the right spot and then they've got to take it. And when you hook them, you've got to extract them from what the hardest place to extract them from.
And look, the most trickiest part of it all is I'm using the upgrader must, which is heavier than the usual lure that I throw. And because I'm throwing it on a very light rod, you've got a bit more flexibility in the tip and you're not getting the accuracy that you would with a standard must or a standard crab. So I really had to hone into that skill of casting. And I'll tell you, maybe 5 out of 6 casts were absolutely shocking. And by shocking, I don't mean like crap cast, but if you're off a couple of inches or a few inches from the actual bridge, then you're not getting a fish.
That's right. No, you got to get in the right spot. And that's one of the challenge with the bridges is you've got to get it to the bottom. You've got to deal with whatever current's doing at the moment and then wind, and then you've got to position whatever vessel you're in.
Yeah, the wind as well picked up at that stage too, and the wind was horrible. But luckily we did land that upgrade. And yeah, surely enough, we continued fishing. But right before we did get that upgrade, I was convincing Rashid, let's go and fish that pontoon. We need one more upgrade to really get ourselves in the top 10. Let's go and fish that pontoon. I really thought to myself that we're not going to get anything at the bridge. And I'm not the type of person to sit at one spot and plug away for more than an hour because I really get bored just sitting there looking at a bridge pylon the whole time. I was driving myself nuts.
Yep.
But he stuck through it and he stuck staunch and he didn't listen to what I said. He said, you know what? Like I told you before, big fish pass through the pylons. The bridges are like a bus stop, essentially, where the fish got to come through and eat at some stage. So
that's right. Or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't argue with him. I'm like, you know what? You're in control, mate. I'm going to listen to you. Ended up getting that good fish and we stayed there for another 10 odd minutes and Rashid ended up getting dusted by a really big fish then. So we couldn't really upgrade that 520 grams.
Wow, that would have made a difference.
It would have made a huge difference.
Yeah,
would have made a huge difference. You just know when it's a big fish.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mate, what a day.
Yeah, it was a crazy day and it's one that I'm not going to forget for a very long time, especially starting off the way it did.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so you're traveling back to, I assume you're not long heading back to the weigh-in. What were your thoughts? You think you're a chance or you're going, I've got a good bag, but...
Look, I didn't know exactly how we were going to do because I know there is a lot of very well or high caliber anglers. I know there is, especially when it comes to the boating tournaments, there's a lot of high caliber anglers. And I thought to myself, we're in a chance for the top 10, but top 5 could be a stretch, depending on obviously how everyone else went and if there were any big bags there and stuff like that.
All right. So, mate, you went back to the weigh-in, you weighed in, you ended up in 3rd place, which was pretty exceptional for first time for a new team.
I was shocked. I honestly did not expect it, especially 3rd. I thought, top 10 could be exciting, but to be in the top 3 was something that really shocked me.
100%. 100%. All right. So for 3rd place in Big Bream, tell me what did you get to take home?
We ended up taking home $850 in cash.
Nice.
We ended up getting the $50 fishing.com.au voucher, which was $50 for every kilo fish per team that was caught.
Yep.
And we ended up getting the Big Bream prize, which was the tonic sunglasses as well.
Very nice. Very nice.
Which was a pretty good prize pack. But at the end of the day, that $850 will go on the insurance to fix the boat. So
I was going to say, that's going back into the boat. I figured that when you said that before, I'm like, yeah, that's where your prize money's going.
Yeah, look, at least we got out there, we fished, we did our best. It was at the end of the day, we had a good day. After all that happened in the morning, we ended up with a good bag and a good day. And like you said at the beginning, it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah, 100%. And are we going to see a video with a boat crash?
No. Unfortunately, I did not take no camera gear at all.
Oh.
I'm trying not to record any tournaments just so I can have my full focus into fishing.
Okay, that's good.
Because it does get a bit distracting.
100%. There's a lot to do to put the videos together and just get your recordings done. So,
especially with my style of recording where I'm just always start, stop and focusing on the microphone, and then you got to charge the microphone and the camera and all that stuff. So I didn't want to bother with any of that stuff at all.
Fair enough. All right, mate. Sounds like a pretty good day was had by all, apart from a couple of mishaps.
Yeah.
tell us, mate, before we shoot off, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, definitely. First and foremost, praise to God. We could have injured ourselves a lot. Something could have happened which was a lot worse than what it did. So thank God for everything. We've got our health and all the rest of it. I'd like to thank Rashid for allowing me to fish alongside him. And he's a great angler himself. He's a very high-skilled bream angler, very humble as well. So he won't tell you that he is, but he knows how to fish, and I've learned a fair bit of him.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank him. Adam from fishing.com.au, whenever I need anything, mate, he's there at our service, and the lures are there the next day. And for that voucher as well, obviously, and all the sponsors that sponsored the tournament series, as well as the organisers for the tournament. And a shout out to Daiwa. I did a review. I don't know if you saw that review recently on the Daiwa Revelry. So I've been using the brand new Daiwa Revelry, and
Nice.
mate, it handled absolutely flawlessly on that Big Bream. I'll tell you that much.
Fair enough. Very good, mate. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic, Abs, mate. Good to have you back on the show. Yeah, I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Always good to chat with you, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate. Okay, so coming in second place, we have Team Zeus Tackle. They dropped their 5 fish for just over 4 kilos at 4.01. And with me, I have Dane Tomaszeki and Adam Lacey. Welcome to the show, guys.
G'day, Deethy. How you going, mate?
G'day, how you going?
Good. Nice to meet you, Adam. And good to have you back on the show, Dane.
Yeah, mate. It's been a couple times now. I think this is maybe the third time, fourth time, maybe. I don't know.
It has, but mate, you got a new partner. What's going on?
Well, yeah. Well, Adam's always been our sort of fill-in guy, the backup guy. And this year, Dan has got some stuff going on with his house building and all that sort of stuff. And Adam stepped up to do the full-time role.
Fair enough.
I think he's pretty excited about it.
Yeah, pretty excited, pretty keen for it.
Yeah.
And tell me, have you been able to get him to cast with confidence?
Mate, Adam always casts with confidence, mate. Even before I had the shop, he's always cast with confidence. This guy can cast an unweighted frog on a bait caster. He's a legend.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. That's a skill I don't have.
Oh, mate, no, me either.
Plenty of seats.
Fair enough. All right, guys, tell us. So you guys went down, you fished George's River. Did you get a chance to get out there and have a bit of a look around before the comp?
Yeah, we got lucky enough to head out a couple of weeks before. Ads was available. Yeah, we didn't stay in the water for too long. And we head straight to the bridge to see if there was anything on there. And they were dead, mate. The bridges were dead.
Yeah.
Much holding on there.
Yeah, normally Adam will pick up something off poles just real slow with crabs and stuff, but nothing. We just got nothing, mate. I think we had one bite.
Yeah.
So we sort of ruled that out. And then while we're in the area, we hit some pontoons. The tide was good for it. And, mate, we found fish almost straight away.
Right.
Yeah, they weren't big fish, but they'll fish. And we consistent. Very consistent, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, that's the we said, okay, let's go with that. And we went upriver, had a bit of a look around at some rock walls. There was fish there. But what do you reckon? About 700, 800 grammars. And they weren't real fat. So we knew we had that as a bit of a backup when it come to comp time. But we basically put a plan together that the pontoons and poles were fishing well. And, yeah, that's what we sort of went into comp with.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And I know that in the interviews we've done before, you've done a lot of crabs and mussels. How'd you get on the pontoons? Were you targeting them with crabs and mussels or something different?
Nothing changes, Deethy. Nothing changes. Crabs and mussels is the go.
Fair enough.
And look, it works out well because Adam likes to throw them both, but he prefers to throw the crab
more.
Yeah. You prefer to throw the crab a bit more. And I love the mussel, so it sort of works out really, really well.
Yeah, be able to see what they're hitting more.
Yeah.
Try and find a bit of a pattern.
Yeah. So that worked out really well in our favour in pre-fish and on the comp. So, yeah.
So, given that you'd had good success on the pontoons, is that where you were going to start? Was that what the plan was? No, okay.
No, that wasn't. No.
Look, because me and Ads, we did pretty well, and Dan, we've done pretty well on the bridge before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name the bridge. Everyone probably will know where I fish anyway. But there's only 3 bridges in the Georges. Or there's 4, but 4. Yeah. But the main bridge that we fished, we're always going to start there.
Yeah. Throw at it.
If I could get a spot, because what did we leave? Ads about
23rd, I think.
23rd, yeah. So normally a botany round is first to the bridges and it's game on, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
So we ran down the river and we got the pylon that we wanted. And basically we spent 20 minutes there, eh?
Yeah, I didn't spend there for long.
Yeah, we hit both sides of one of the bridges and there was nothing there.
Nothing there, yeah.
Not even a tap.
Yeah, no touch, nothing.
So then we said, all right, we spent enough time. The tide's running out. Let's go hit the pontoons. And, mate,
from get the bag.
Basically the first or second pontoon, we started catching fish.
Wow.
So, yeah, and we just took it away from there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. With the tide, I haven't checked the tides yet. What was it? Was it run out?
Yeah, it's run out. I think it was 5:30 high in Botany. So I'm assuming probably an hour, let's just call it probably a 6 o'clock high up the river a bit.
Yeah.
And the run out tide for George's has always been a cracker. I prefer the fishing to run out because
a
lot of the edges are quite shallow, especially through that main, I like to call it the middle part of the George's, around where all the pontoons are. It's quite shallow.
Yeah, it is quite shallow, yeah.
Yeah, so that run out from the high tide was sort of perfect tide for us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Worked out well.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you started catching fish on the pontoons. How'd you go? Did you get a bunch or did you get some size or how'd that look?
Well, yeah, I mean...
It's a mix.
It was a mix. We had our bag pretty quick, eh?
Yeah.
I think we had about 3 kilos from memory. Maybe it was 2.8.
Yeah, I think it was just under 3.
Yeah, and that was just using pretty much crabs.
Yeah.
I started throwing the mussel, nothing really happening. Ads was catching a few on the UV crab. And then I switched to olive and then we sort of just went.
Yeah, just UV and olive.
Yeah, tiny upgrades from that sort of 2.8 point.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got to a point, I got to a point and I said, stuff this. I said, we're here to go for a win. And this is what I was saying before. So basically, I was rigging all my stuff on Saturday night.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I want to try these upgrade muss, the bigger one.
Yep.
And I didn't have any. So I ran back to the shop, Zeus Tackle. I ran back to the shop. I'm only 10 minutes from the shop. I ran back to the shop and grabbed 6 off the shelf. And I'm like, I'm going to give these a crack tomorrow. If we get our half-decent bag early, I'm going to give these a crack. Never used them before. And then, yeah, so we had about 3 kilos. Adam stacked with his crab and I'm like, that's it. I put the brawler out, 8-pound leader, and I threw the upgrader muss. And mate,
and smoked a few times.
I don't think I'm going to throw another size mussel again.
Right.
Dead set. As soon as I put that on first cast, it was fish. And I didn't come home with those
no, you didn't.
6 upgrade mussels.
Lost them all.
You left them.
And I lost them all to fish. And I don't know, I've talked about running 4-pound a lot and we fish pretty tight drags. Yeah. But I was using 8-pound and I couldn't stop some of these things with a brawler. So it was fun.
Yeah, it was good fun.
But probably the highlight of the day was Adam's fish. Adam,
yeah.
Well, run us through that fish, Adam, because it was a great piece of angling. Like it was really awesome.
Yeah. So there was a pontoon that had a fair few poles coming off. It was a fair bit longer.
Yep.
Than the other ones. And I chucked my crab right up in the back on the pontoons closest to sort of the land part.
Yeah.
Calling that there's got to be a fish in there.
You did call it. You did call it.
Yeah. And just on the drop, got the hit. And I tried slowly trying to drag him out in between all the poles.
Yeah.
And once I tried laying into him, he just took the run straight underneath the pontoon. By this stage, the boat's sort of gone past the point. So we quickly told Dane to smack it in reverse. And I free-spooled it. We got back into the better spot and had to put the rod underneath the water and slowly work his way back out. And, played game after that. Just got him next to the boat and, pulled a 1.1 kilo out of it.
Nice.
Which is what cemented our bag. It was a highlight. That was just like the bit of angling that he did and the way the boat, it was just one of those perfect situations.
Yeah, everything worked out well.
Yeah. And I think you said you decided to tie 6-pound leader.
Yeah, just decided to tie 6-pound. I normally run 4-pound.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's probably what saved it. The leader was all scuffed up, had to do another retie.
Okay.
But that was a really, that was fun.
It was fun.
That got us pumped for the day.
Absolutely. And I think you at 1.1, you were very, very close to Big Bream.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it was
30 grams or something.
Grams off it.
I think
30 grams.
I think Ab's got it. I think
Ab's got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 1.13. I think.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And then, all right. So you've got that. You've anchored your bag. Tell us about the ones that you lost, Dane.
Do we have to, Deethy? Do we have
mate.
to?
That's what we want to hear. We want to hear the worst story. What's the worst one, mate?
The worst one was, well, there's two bad ones.
Two bad ones.
Okay.
So one of them was one of the outside poles, because as we work, Adam sort of fishes the back of the pontoons and stuff. I'll fish the front. I cast one of the front poles and dead set on the drop, clunk. It was a second cast with the big muss, and I had this thing won. I had him beat. I saw him. I'm calling it for about a 1.2 after seeing Adam's fish. It was a big fish, and I sort of thought, I've got him up on the surface. Get ready for the net ads.
Yeah.
I turn, and as I turn, he just takes another run, and then didn't realise I was that close to the pole.
And straight in.
And straight into the pole, 8-pound leader, gone, pop. Thanks for coming.
Ouch.
So that was, and the poor lady, there was a lady mowing a lawn or whatever it was, or walking a dog. I yelled out so hard, I think I gave her a heart attack. But that was a bit devastating, that one.
Yeah.
And then the next one was probably, mate, the way this thing fought, you just never, when you don't see him, you don't know, right? It could have been a 26 tipper that just went hard, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I've put a perfect cast into, it was a pontoon underneath a walkway with a pole at the back, and I probably couldn't have put a better cast in, to be honest. On the drop, as soon as I got to the bottom, clunk, and, mate, I dead set had 2 seconds to decide what I'm going to do, and I decided to try and muscle him out with the brawler, and he didn't like it, mate, and he just... It was a true unstoppable.
Yeah, wow. I like it.
It was one of those ones where you just
could stop it.
Yeah, it was nothing you could have done. Like you just tip your cap, you know. You say, "Fish, you beat me."
Yeah.
So, but that was a bit heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But look, everyone's got those stories, you know, Deethy. But it was just a shame. But everything needs to go right in the comp day to make it win.
All work.
Yeah,
exactly. Hey, and at least you've hooked the fish. I think it's bad when you go out in a comp. You go, I didn't even see a big fish. I didn't feel a big
nothing
fish.
Worse, eh?
Nothing worse. Yeah.
That's what happened to us in the Hawkesbury. To be honest, the comp before we caught heaps of fish, just
nothing of size.
Yeah. Wow. So with the upgraded mussel, what's the go there? What do you reckon that was effective?
Mate, I don't know, because I was throwing the mussel earlier.
Yeah.
Well, Ads was throwing the crab, and I wasn't getting anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
Poles on pontoons, I wasn't getting anything. That's why I went to the crab. But for some reason, I don't know whether it was
where we were fishing.
Was a bit deeper, or the tide change was I don't know.
The colour of the water.
Yeah, I don't know. Mate, I don't know. They just dead set jumped all over.
It was pretty dirty, the water there.
It was a bit dirtier, yeah.
You got that 900 gram when you got on it.
Oh, yeah, that was another good story, yeah.
When the boat left the jetty.
Yeah, so we had a guy, we were fishing the pontoons, and you know those plastic boat pontoons that they drive up on?
Yep.
Well, old mate was going fishing, so he's just banged it in reverse and
stirred it all up.
Stirred the whole thing up. And I said, Dad, watch this. I'm going to get something out of here. I popped the mussel in there and I just gave it a couple of hops out. And I thought it was a flathead the way it hit. But that was a 900 grammer that came up, and I didn't give him any room, that guy.
Nothing.
He just came in. Out. That's why I was just like, far out. That other fish was just mental.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a pretty cool thing. So, yeah.
And what was the smallest fish in your bag? You remember?
Was it 650?
Yeah, I think 650.
650 grammer.
Yeah, right.
So we had 1.1, 900, 800, 700, and 650. I think something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work out. You needed either one really big upgrade.
Yeah,
correct.
Need another.
Those boys that won it. Like we were. So I went 700 grams behind. That was a lot to catch up. Like especially with a lot of the smaller fish around, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Really need two good upgrades.
Yeah, definitely. So we needed like a 350. So that would have been two more 900s basically.
Yeah,
that would have sort of got close.
I needed a kegger and then a 900 to take the win.
Definitely.
So yeah, those boys done a good job.
Perfect. All right. So I take it. So you went back to the weigh and you've got 4 kilos. What were you thinking? Like before you weighed in, you're thinking, will be a chance here, or?
Well, I said to Ads because we weigh our fish, right? The the Rapala tournament scales. They're a really good scale, but they're never the same, right? And we're weighing with the ball, so the balls weigh like 20 or 30 grams.
20 grams, 30 grams.
So on the scales, we had 417, I think.
Yeah.
And then I said to Ads, mate, we'll be close to. I'm hoping we get 4 kilos.
10. Yeah.
I said we'll definitely be top 10. We'll be giving it a nudge. It just depends how everyone else caught them. Just depends how the front went.
How river went. A lot of boys went
a lot
up
of guys went up river.
Well, we didn't see him come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we started hearing reports coming back that there was some 3/8s and that was the biggest bag so far. I knew Ahmed and Rabi had a pretty good bag. We spoke to them on the water. I said how they're going.
Yeah.
And they said they had about 4 kilos. I'm like, oh, yeah. I know Ahmed he underestimates his fish a lot.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So I said that. I mean, I put another 500 grams on that. So, look, we knew we were in a shot of probably not winning, but like up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it was close at the top, I think.
It was, yeah. It was, I think the top
389, 39.
Top 4 were pretty close together, weren't they?
Yeah, except for, 700 grams. That's a big
jump.
Yeah.
So, but the second, third, and fourth thing were pretty tight.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it was 10 grams from third to fourth.
Yeah. There wasn't much in it.
So that's not much. So,
and that's what I honestly, I put it down to weighing the fish. I just think, mate, sometimes 10 grams can make a big difference. And if you're just looking at size.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Well, we've caught plenty of fish that are smaller in length but heavier.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I just think weighing the fish it's never a perfect scenario, but it gives you a bit more of a judge on 10 or 20 grams.
20 grams.
I think so.
All you need.
Yeah, I think so. And either weighing them or balance beam, weighing them off against each other.
100%. Yeah. I just don't think measuring is the most accurate way. And the way everyone's fishing now, everyone's pretty tight, pretty close. You've got to take every advantage that you can.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
I do have those scales in at Zeus Tackle, by the way. Just saying. Sorry.
The Rapala ones.
Yeah, just Rapala tournament ones. Yeah, I've got them here in stock. So sorry.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, the first time that I ever used scales in a competition was when I fished the Worlds. Oh no, that's not exactly true. Scales and cull tags.
Yeah.
And over 3 days, there was 40 grams difference over 3 days.
There you go.
And I caught the last day in particular. I can't remember what the number was. It was like 8 or 10 fish around that 600 gram, which was what you kind of needed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon using the scales was the difference. I don't think I could have got it right.
Oh, no, 100%. I'm with you. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So, at the end of the day, you guys rocked on back in, got 4.01 kilos in second place. What did you get to take home for your second place?
17.
14-17,
I think it was.
Yeah,
14-17. That's not bad for a day on the Georges.
Not
Mate,
bad.
can't complain.
I can't complain.
Paid for the day and probably paid for the next couple of comps.
Another year in the next comps, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right. That's very good. All right. So last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or maybe a special tackle shop you'd like to talk about?
I think I've plugged me tackle shop a fair bit, but why not? We'll give it another crack.
I'll tell you what we'll do, Dane, is run through where you are, where people can find you, because we had not said that. So.
Yeah, cool. So I'm out at Camden, shop 18, 1 to 15 Murray Street. I've got from game gear to tournament gear to cod gear to bass gear. I've got miller rods. I've got basically everything you sort of need to go out fishing. So, yeah, thanks for letting me do that, Deethy. I appreciate it.
That's all right. It's part of the deal.
Yeah.
And is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Oh, you're always going to give a shout out
to the fishing partner.
Yeah, to your fishing partner. And then your life partner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's your life partner. That sounds a bit funny, but yeah. You obviously your wife and your girlfriend and you got to give them. I mean, they let you go for a fish.
Go.
Yeah, I mean,
stuck at home with the kids.
Yeah. Well, Adam just had a baby actually.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's all new to him.
It's all new.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Very good. Babies are the best. Well done.
Yeah, they are cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, guys. Well, that's a great story. I appreciate you guys coming on. And yeah, I'll talk to you next time you're up in the top 3. How about that?
Oh, we got the East Coast next week. So hopefully we'll be talking to you next week, Deethy.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Very good. Thanks, guys.
All right, legend. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
See ya.
Okay, so coming in first place, we have Team Smart Fish Precision Building Maintenance. They dropped their 5 fish for 4 kilos, which was a big jump from second place. And with me, I have Ahmed Mahfood. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back.
Hey, it's like I was trying to say there, very solid win.
Yeah, very happy with the result. Yeah, didn't expect a few keggers. We had about 4 fish at about a kilo, I reckon. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, you would have had to. And you won by like 730 grams. I mean, that's a reasonable fish in itself.
Yeah, that's right. I think the way we approached it, we could have buckling. Yeah, I'm buckling.
No, you're good, mate. You're good. I was going to say you could have. I don't know what was in your bag, but maybe your smallest fish. Maybe you didn't need it.
Smallest fish, probably a 34 fork, I think it was.
Oh, okay. No, you needed that.
Yeah, 34 fork.
That would be 700 grams. So.
Yeah. So it was about 34 fork.
There you go. Anyway, let's wind it back, mate. Let's dial back to pre-fish. Did you get out and have a look around at all in the last couple of weeks, or did you just go in cold?
Me, myself, no, I didn't. Rabi, on the other hand, went out a few weeks ago with the family. He was on the water at George's, and I noticed a lot of bait fish up the river. So that was a big part of our game plan. So, yeah.
Interesting. I've been on the George's, and I must admit I've not spotted that. So, all right. Well, let's jump into Comp Day. Bit of a special event for you. So why don't you tell us about why it was a special event, and we'll get into how you went fishing.
Oh, yeah. The boat's first trip on the water.
Yeah.
And, obviously has the mojo. At the same time, we're fasting. So it's a month of Ramadan. We are fasting. So that plays in the back of my mind a little bit. But, it was a good trip. Nice to have a win on the new boat.
And what is it? What'd you buy?
It's a Legend. So it's a Legend. It's a Legend with a 225 Mercury on the back. Picked it up from Victoria. So pretty good.
Wow. And is it a brand new boat, or is it a...
No, it's a second hand. I just put all the flashy stuff on it with the Garmins and all that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. So I'm sure with the 225 on the back, I'm sure that gets along quite nicely.
Yeah, it does all right. Not as quick as my last one, but it does all right.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, then let's get into Comp Day. Tell us about how you went about catching your fish.
Okay, so we like I said, he's seen a lot of bait up that river, so we thought we'd start up when the tide was high, and we went up to East Hills.
Really?
We hit a bridge up there. We got a few fish pretty quick, and nothing for our bag, but we started up the river and we worked our way back with the tide. So not far from East Hills Bridge, we hit a rock wall. We cranked the rock wall, and we picked up a killifish off a jackal tubby off that time. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
And in between, a lot of small fish in between, and like I said, we kept going with the tide back towards the front, and we ended up at Como, I think it was, at Como, and we got another fish there, which is pretty good. It was another kilo fish.
Another kilo fish off Como.
Yeah, off Como, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It was very surprising. There wasn't many people on that bridge, to be honest. But
yeah, while you were saying that, I was thinking I haven't heard of a lot of good fishing at Como recently.
No, very slow. It was very slow. So I had a 65 crab just literally on the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, so it was very slow. Yeah, slow fishing. It was slow fishing. But yeah.
What was the tide like there?
It was still running out. It was running out nice, actually. It was probably at its strongest point, I reckon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we went for the 65, just to get it down. Obviously, there's a bit of depth in that area. Yeah, from there, we went to Boldface Point, I think it was. There's a little rock wall with some pontoons and whatnot. And there's like the rocks, and it goes pretty steep off the edge there on that point. And we were throwing our jackal chubbies in the deep as well. We picked up another good fish there. There was another kilo fish there, actually.
Wow.
We lost one there. We picked up one there, so it was good.
Okay. And with your jackal chubbies, what colour are you liking at the moment?
Oh, brown suji.
Okay.
Yeah, the brown suji. Yes, we went to Woolaware Bay after that. There was a few people in there, and that's when the wind really started to come up as well. So I think it was too hard to sort of fish that area. So yeah, we came back into the bay, and there was a couple of boats there, and we thought, because I got the live scope, so it sort of changed our whole game now. There's not much guessing work, especially when it comes to structure.
Yeah.
You can sort of see what's going on. And yeah, we found some fish on some boats. We cranked them with the atomics. That's where we picked up our probably our biggest fish, actually.
Okay, with a crank 38?
You crank 38 in that fire. I think it's not fire tiger, it's rock crab. Rock crab colour, the orange with the brown on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So not one of their, I would say, heavily used colours. So
No, it's one of our favourites. It's definitely one of our favourites. Yeah.
Why not the chubby? Why'd you change?
I didn't want to be too low from the hole. So the chubby is obviously a lot deeper. The atomic's got a bit more of a quicker shimmy, and it stays just under, which is good.
Yeah.
Especially when you're casting up and bringing it back with the current, it sort of doesn't dive as deep, but it catches some sort of water, as opposed to casting against the current, and it really goes really deep. So the atomic, we find the atomic in that situation is probably the best thing to throw.
Yeah. With both of you on the boat, if you're fishing boat holes, are you both up the front, or how do you?
No, we're both up the front. Yeah. We're both up the front. So if we're cranking, I'll probably pitch a cast in, then he'll come around, and then he'll pitch a cast in behind me. So it's pretty good. We've got a system in place, me and Robbie. So it's pretty good.
I was going to say, you have to work effectively. You have to use a bit of teamwork to make it happen.
100%, man. Like I said, we do from the last podcast. We said that we fish really well together, and we understand each other, and it's pretty good. Yeah. Now our last probably our last fish that contributed to the bag was probably an hour to go, maybe from the end, and it was on Captain Cook Bridge, and it was another 65 crab that done the damage on that one too.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and in going through all of that, you lost one back at Baldface. Did you lose any others that you think would have made a difference? Yeah,
we did lose a couple of fish, but whether they were big fish or not, I don't know. But the one back in Baldface was definitely another cracker. So, So not many opportunities, but the right fish were there at the right time. So, yeah.
That's right. All right. What about lines and leaders? So when you're fishing the bridges, what do you like to run?
The bridges on the weekend were on 6 pound. We were both on 6 pound.
Okay. So not heavy at all.
No, not too heavy. We wanted to get the bite. We found the bite was a bit slow. So the bridges were fishing 6, but with the cranks, we were fishing 4 pound.
Yeah.
It was 4 pound with the cranks. So it was pretty much only those two were pretty much thrown, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. And what's your choice of rod at the moment?
Still with the zero. I love the zero. It's an all-rounder for me.
Okay.
The 7, I think it's the 702 in the LFS, 2 to 4 kilo.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so if you feel it, it's actually, you can do literally everything with it. So I've got quite a few of those. Paired up with the new Cert 8 at the moment I'm running, and Ravi likes these Skybolts with as well that exist, which is,
Oh, yeah.
So,
cool. It's a nice gear.
Yeah, we like our gear. We like our gear. We look after it.
Very nice.
So,
very nice.
Mm.
All right. Well, look, it sounds like you guys had a pretty good day.
Yeah, it was a good day. I think we're just at the right places at the right time, I reckon. But like I said, we have fished this system for a long, long time, so we sort of understand what's going on. But the way the river played up the top for us was good. It doesn't happen all the time. So it worked out well.
And like you said, you've been fishing a long time. So that's a milk run for anyone that doesn't know the system from East Hills all the way back down to Woolooware Bay and where the launch is. That's a hike.
Yeah, it is. That's right. Because you got a couple of 8 mod zones as well. Oh, actually, one of them in the moons there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a bit of a hike.
Yeah, that's it. Like you're not doing that. Well, you're certainly not doing it in a kayak, but you're not doing it even in a slower boat.
Mm.
You will lose too much time.
Yeah, no, it worked out well. Definitely.
Very good. All right, I reckon that's a pretty good rundown. What did you get to take home for your first place?
I think it's 2,550, maybe $51, which is pretty good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is fantastic for a day out in the bay with you, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
Mate, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, obviously my family, Rabi Atani as well, and his family as well behind us, and all the guys that wanted to support the new boat as well. So I've got a few new sponsors there on the boat. They know who they are, and it helps a lot with those guys and our family. Obviously, if you got problems in the family, you can't go anywhere.
100%, 100%. All right, mate. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Look, that was a cracking start to, second comp for the season. So, well done. And mate, I'm sure we'll be speaking soon.
Hopefully. Thanks, Andrew.
All right, mate. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, so there you have it. Some of my favourite names in this one, Abs Machlaoui and Dame Tamagotchi. Got to love it. Anyway, great little comp there. I look forward to keep reviewing these guys. It's a good little addition to the tournament series the tournament scene in New South Wales. And definitely something if you're into team events, if you want to jump along and get to. The next one is actually this weekend at Lake Macquarie, so this will be run and one. But they've got a 2-dayer up at Foster. So if you like Foster, next month, the middle of the month, jump up there and have a crack. Take your mate, go and catch some fish in the racks. July, I actually don't know how it fishes in July up there, but either way, Foster's always pretty fun. And then the last round 6 is on the 14th of the 9th in Sydney Harbour. So Sydney Harbour is always a great venue, so definitely worth having a look at. All right, so after being away at Swain's, coming into next week, so as this comes out on the Tuesday, probably the Wednesday or Thursday night, I'll be looking at another collective get-together to wrap up the crabs and mussels. Something special starting next week, something different that most people won't have really experienced. So if you're into learning new techniques and getting together as a group and having a chat, the collective might be for you. Either way, feel free to jump online and join in. I do expect next week will be the next get together. If not, maybe the week after. But either way, it's coming soon, and this one will be very cool. I'm hoping to have a special guest. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Let's roll the outros, and I'll talk to you all next week on the Bream Fishing Project. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired, and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.